Here we are. This is Thursday now. It's Real YG here with the I guess little 30-minute demonstration video that I'll be doing, aiming to do each day and uploading to YouTube. Primarily as a demo to potential venues or sponsors or business partners or kind of like promoters that want me to do. Like I said, I'm probably gonna aim to start doing like half-hour sets early in my career. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and start offering like a 1 hour set. You know, I want to kind of come in for like half an hour, work with a good promoter, work with a good venue, maybe get like a residency somewhere where I'm doing like MCing and entertainment type work for like I'm there for half an hour, I do my thing, I leave, or I just hang out, with people there wherever the event is, assuming they're not too rowdy or whatever, or like overly excited. And the idea behind the reason I'm doing this is just to give you an idea of kind of like the type of stuff that I'm planning on doing or that I'm able to do, and I guess to attract also like collaborators, other people that want to get involved. Just going to start with my day. This isn't actually going to be the half-hour video itself. This is going to be just kind of like an update, or pro. I don't really know how long this video is going to go for, but it's just getting started my day. I was taking a look at some of the notes of kind of what I want to get done today, and thought of this like I'm thinking obviously I've really never always been involved in kind of like entertainment, media, music, technology, this type of stuff. Primarily, I've always said that any situation where like human interaction or communication is important, or like influencing people, large groups of people, um, or entertaining people is something that Roger never was really interested in or involved in. Social situations, cultural situations, stuff like that, spiritual situations also. But also like the community type situations, right? I've realized over the last couple of years, I always knew that I really enjoyed being like performing. And when I say performing, I don't even necessarily mean just being putting on a show or like just saying a song or doing a rap or doing a comedy stand up gig or being on stage or anything, being the center of attention or anything like that. Or even just like being in front of a room of people and lecturing people and talking about like something that I know about, like entrepreneurship or business or marketing systems or film or media or anything like that. Music, performance, the performance side, the music side of business versus the creative side of business, the production side of films versus the creative side of films, which is completely separate departments, right? Um, I've always enjoyed talking. I love the sound of my own voice. Let me put it that way. I'm told that a lot of other people like it too. Um, but I guess what I've always struggled with is just not so much finding my voice, but just finding. Um, I know the audience exists. Let me put it that way. I know the audience exists. I know that I really enjoy the stuff that I say. I don't enjoy everything that I say. Obviously, there are also things that I say out loud that I should. Why did I even have to say that or whatever? But one of my mentors, a guy named Mark Nicholson, used to tell me when I was younger. He used to say to me, Mike, think before you speak, right? Which is actually really good advice. But the thing is that at the time I was saying a lot of really foolish things, but I don't really like thinking too much before I speak. I like knowing. I like knowing before I speak, and I think that's really what he meant by that is that you need to know what you're saying, and you need to understand that when you say something out loud, you need to understand and be more aware of your surroundings. I was aware of my surroundings when I was in New Zealand, but I think where he kind of misinterpreted is that I wasn't really self-aware of myself, of how other people perceive me at the time. And look, I don't want to turn this into like a whole kind of like drama, situation or kind of full situation where I'm kind of talking like about myself, that type of thing. But I really want to. It's not that I want to. It's just that now, like particularly the last couple of years, I've realized that I'm actually like a very capable performer, and I'm not talking even just about you know putting on a show. Like musically, I'm talking about stuff like acting. I'm talking about also stuff like dancing. I'm also talking about stuff like even behind the camera, production, directing, writing, maybe even editing, doing the music. I have a really good taste for music. I'm talking about like the soundtrack, not so much composing and producing music. But hey, with AI, sure, these days you can probably produce a score for a movie pretty easily. Um, I've been told that I have a really good ear for like very good taste for like I love all music because the thing is, even if I don't like a specific type of music, I understand that any type of music can go with a specific situation that I might want to be involved in, or might be a cool situation. You know what I mean? So, um, and for the longest time, I really was only really saw myself being on the I wouldn't call we call it the business end, but more like, in the industry, you have kind of like the production and you have the creative side. The production is really more about the real world limitations of what it's going to take to make the the fighter pilot actually shoot somebody down in the middle of the sky in like a Pearl Harbor movie or something like that, right? The actual real world, like we're gonna have to actually like find the location. We're gonna have to like set up, block all the roads, make sure this is like a closed area, make sure safety hazards and stuff like that, health and safety, make sure that everyone's paid the correct amount, make sure there's like catering, make sure everyone's looked after, make sure everyone, we gotta hire the people, we gotta pay them correctly, we gotta do our taxes and stuff, we gotta make sure that everyone understands the budgeting, we understand that we have a budget, where do we get the budget from, we gotta approach the production company, we gotta hire the director. Now the director, this is where a lot of people get it fucked up, right? The director is a very important part, but the most important part of any film production is other than, of course, the actors, for me, and the stuff they actually see. Well, that's debatable because then again, the editor's like, excuse me, unlike the guys that does the scores, like, well, what about the visual effects? Visual effects to me is probably not that important. But then again, it just depends what you're into. But for me, really, the producer is likely, the most important part and the most important element of the movies, other than, of course, the people that go and see them. Um, and it's very much the same with music. Very much the same with music. Um, but the thing is, with music, it's the same. There's the business side of music, and this is where people think it's like, oh, you're killing the art, and you know what I mean. You're monetizing. You're selling out or whatever. You're trying to sell this stuff. It's not. It's not that. It's just the real world understanding that there's real world implications, and people want a piece of this, whatever this person is, whether it's Green Day, whether it's Eminem, whether it's like Michael Jackson or whoever it is, or even if it's like a talk show, like an Oprah or Dr. Phil, or someone on the media on One News at 6 p.m. with the Prime Minister, whoever it is. Everyone wants a piece of them, right? I mean, if you want a piece of them, there's real world implications for that, and there's a lot of money involved in that. You know what I mean? You don't just get to hang out with Drake and ask him some questions. You know what I mean? You have to like be qualified. You can't just like ask Robert Downey Jr. about his dad randomly. That's why he's like, what the fuck is this fucking random asshole? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So there's real world implications that go into these things, right? And that's where stuff like the business of music, like the thing is, when I make music, I can hear myself do my thing. And my interpretation is that the main reason most artists don't make it in the making of sense is not because they're not good. Everyone's really good. I've heard some of the greatest guitarists of all time that are unknown play guitar perfectly. I have some of the greatest pianists, saxophonists, some of the greatest hip hop artists just right here in New Zealand, doing amazing bars, unbelievable stuff. And same with actors, performers. But for me, the main reason is not because they're not talented or creative or that they're not good. It's just that they're not different. And for me, it's not about being the greatest of all time. It's just about doing it in a way that no one else does it. That's what makes you the greatest at the time. And the greatest of all time is whoever's the greatest at the time. You know what I mean? You can have like someone that have a unbelievable case to be the greatest of all time, Michael Jackson, for example. You know what I mean? And then someone like Kanye West comes along, or Drake comes along, or even just some dude out of the blue like Mac Miller or like Tupac was only alive for, or Kurt Cobain, for example, was only alive for 27 years. Amy Winehouse comes along, here I am. Or even someone like Lord comes along and makes a really good discussion like him, and I did some shit too. the thing is that I would end the debate on the greatest of all time myself, because like, here's the thing: when it comes to things like sports, and like, competitive games, like, combat sports and competitive games, and entertainment versus entertainment, right? They're very similar. Um, but there's like, in basketball or in like cricket, for example, or football or anything like that. There's a clear way of doing a certain thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's a clear way. There's techniques. There's established techniques. When you're writing a script, there's established techniques of how the shit's supposed to go down. Like the first act, second act. You know what I mean? There's the setup. Like, this is what's going on. There has to be like a character arc. There's some themes going on. There can't just be a bunch of rant. Like, The Room. This is a disaster piece because like I have no idea what the fuck going on the entire movie, to the point where it's like actually kind of hysterical watching the thing, right? So, I guess what I'm getting at is that when I'm doing my thing, when I'm performing my things, like I'm realizing that I find myself very entertaining, right? And that's the thing. The reason I find myself very entertaining is because a lot of the stuff that I even say privately, I don't even say out loud. Especially the stuff that I do say out loud publicly. I don't know anybody else on planet Earth that says the type of shit that I come up with, or puts with things the way that I do. And I feel like that makes a lot of people very, very uncomfortable. And I understand why, because like, where the fuck did you get that? And a lot of stuff that I do seems really rehearsed and like just too perfect sometimes, and I'm really self-aware of that now. But it really is just kind of like a freestyle. Freestyle rap is very much like jazz. Okay, like a professional jazz player will understand what I'm talking about. Like if you like BB King or something like that, or you like Ray Charles, or whatever, like you're a great pianist, great jazz player, great bassist, great guitarist, whatever, and you want to do some jazz, you want to have a jazz session, which is what jazz is all about, right? You just get up, someone's playing the drums, and if you're a great artist, you can come in. It's like a cipher in hip hop. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. But in order to step into a cipher and not look out of place or look weird or kill the vibe or whatever, if someone like Scribe passes you the mic, or if someone like Drake passes you the mic in a cipher, like most people will be like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean? For me, it's not a big deal for me, because I understand, I'm prepared, and I understand what's going on here, because you have to be trained to use the instrument first. Like Lisa playing a saxophone since she's a young kid. By the time she's my age or 30s, whatever, she's an absolute master. She knows absolutely every single note on that chord. But she also needs to understand how it plays into the other music. So you have to understand music, and you have to understand the culture of whatever you're going into. So the point that I'm getting at is that freestyle rap is not about just thinking of something off the top, or just like being really clever, or referencing random shit. It's understanding how words work together. It's understanding how rhythm works. It's understanding how flow works. It's understanding music theory. It's understanding how to count bars, how to understand how to switch your flow up, understanding context. Okay, understanding what's happening now, what's happening previously, what's going to happen in the future, in the context of the what you're doing, and understanding the vibe. You know, I've been in a lot of ciphers where there's a lot of dudes that are very good rappers, but they're just in there just attacking people for no reason. Just attacking people, being very aggressive. Look, man, there's nothing wrong with doing aggressive lyrics, man. There's nothing wrong with saying some fucked up shit on a record, because that's what hip hop's all about. You're in your hood, you see some messed up shit. That's what it's all about. I used to talk about that shit. But the thing that I'm really worried about in hip hop these days, that because like I've been in a lot of ciphers, like online and like Discord rooms, and you know I see kids just come in and just like, especially like people, like I'm just noticing myself. I'm in a room for I come in a room for like 2 seconds. I turn the camera on, say hi, do my thing, turn the time. Good luck to everyone. Have a nice day. Respect to the whatever. And everyone's like, yeah, fuck this guy. And it's like the thing is that I understand why they do it. Is because a lot of people feel like they have something to prove, and they have like a chip on their shoulder, and they feel like they have to be aggressive and angry, because that's what they see on the Masters or some of these music videos, where you see like a video like Gummo by 6ix9ine, or you see some like Slim Shady shit. Or what you need to understand is that that's not what that hip hop's all about. Hip hop's not about like murdering people and killing people. I hear like 15-year-old kids talking about killing people and raping people and just whatever, doing those horrible gangster shit with guns and drugs and shit like that. It's okay to rap about guns and drugs if that's what you literally see in your hood, man. If that's your reality and that's what you see, that's what hip hop's all about for me. Um, so the reason I'm saying like in terms of a cipher, freestyle is all about understanding how the words work together and being able. The reason it's off the top is because it's something that you haven't actually prepared beforehand. I.e., a master. A master is where you've actually thought out. You've gone to a studio. You've sat down with like your producer, a couple of artists, maybe whoever you fuck with, like your crew of people that you can't. I mean, you can't just do it like Hobson, but even Hobson needs help here and there. You can't just do everything yourself. You need someone to help you with your booking, your touring, and that's the other thing. So, I guess what I'm saying is that um, when you actually are in there doing your thing, you're in there doing the music. Um, I can hear myself, and I can like. You need to surround yourself with people that aren't gonna tell you what you want to hear, or even tell you what you need to hear, but understand how you operate. And I've worked with a lot of people that just have a very, very high. I used to be like it too. I used to be very arrogant. I used to think that I was way better than what I was. And it's not about being the best of all time and being technically and unbelievably gifted. It's number one. It's about being real and being real about what you're talking about in your music. Because it's kind of like when Slim Jesus came out as an example, and he was, what I mean? It's like, come on, dude. But it was, it, um, but even that, I don't really know Slim Jesus, but just the pure that he really kind of lives that life that he's talking about. And later on, he was, I don't live that life. I mean, for his first single. But it's also a big element about it is that it's not really about what you say or how you say. Yeah, it's not about. It is about what you're saying and how you're saying it too. That separates people that are actually, I guess, marketable. Okay, now once you don't need validation from anybody when it comes to artistic expression to know that it's dope. If I do make some stupid shit up and nobody finds it funny, if I tell a joke and I find it hysterical, by definition, it's funny. If I make a little stupid song with a little hook and I like it, it's genius for me. Okay, for me, right? And a lot of people they get the wrong idea behind that. I don't need this. I don't care what anyone thinks about. Well, if you want to be a professional musician, yeah, you should care about it. And it's not about how much money you're going to make, or you're going to be like Jay-Z or anything like that. It's that if you understand logic and business, you do need validation in business in order to have a viable business model and actually make a living through music. If you're being a mature person about it. And I was very fortunate that I got to understand the business side first, while I was still developing as like an artist. Not just in the music, but I was also really fascinated with film. My mother was a stage actress, trained stage actress. Went to university for it and everything like that. 20 years she did. She actually did a production company here for the Russian community, mostly in Oakland, has done for 15 years. I've been surrounded by, creative types all my life. We're reasonably well known in the hip hop music scene and even like overseas hip hop scenes, mostly as a manager type guy. And that's really how I like to stay. But it's just that I really enjoy the energy of live performance, particularly. And the thing is that pre-recording stuff is also a live performance. I really like pre-recording stuff now. I used to really enjoy doing lives. I started doing lives on Facebook probably back in 2000. I want to say 15, 2016, maybe even before then, 2014. I started doing the lives on Facebook, and then I progressed doing Twitch, and then ended up doing things on TikTok and stuff like that, and even YouTube. I did some lives. I got quite a few followers and people that regularly come back and watch my shit. I didn't really have any ongoing thing. I mean, I did poker streaming for a while. I streamed, some games that I would play. And I also like stream kind of sessions like this where I would just be up here talking about like not random shit, but like specific stuff like this, like just my thoughts on various topics related to like creative art, business, life, philosophy, spiritual stuff, that type of thing. So my goal for really the rest of this quarter, in terms of money, like I don't even know how many times I'm gonna like make a recording or a clip on the position of money and thing, and why I'm literally set for life in terms of money. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, the thing with money, the way to think about money. Someone asked me once when I was at a business conference, or like one of these BMI meetings. They asked me, "Hey, what's your company's target for next quarter?" Like, because you obviously got a forecast, and I'm aware of this. I know you got a forecast for each one. We do forecasts here, but realistically, the way I think about it is my target is all the money. And then when I say this, like, what do you mean all the money? Like, yeah, my target every single quarter is to literally control all of the money in existence. And he's like, well, that's unachievable. That's literally the point of business. Is to completely dominate the area that you're in. And this is going to buzz you out too. Not only is that literally my target, I literally achieved that in life. And people are like, how can you say that? That's absurd. Well, think about it the way I think about it. And I'll explain it to you. Long story short, to solve the money problem, it's very simple. You offer something of value that a person needs, you get money. Right? Because if a person needs whatever you've got, right? Let's say you have water. Water is a very, very useful commodity for a human being, right? It has a lot of value for people. Most of the world has so much value that they don't pay for it, but you do pay for it because you have to pay for rent, for stuff like that. You have to pay for, you walk into a business, you got to pay for water, bottled water, stuff like that, right? Pretty soon we'll tell you about that. But the idea is, if you're not thirsty, if you already drank like 4 liters of water, you're hydrated already, and someone tries to sell you more water, it has no value for that in that immediate. So timing is very important. So timing lowers the value. So to understand the basic concept that I learned from Grant Cardone, 10X was a very good book to read, but he said this to me in a video once. The idea is that the value that you're offering to a specific person, at the time of giving it presenting it to that person, the value, the cost that you're charging them for whatever the service or the part you give them, has to exceed the price. The price being the monetary figure that they're paying to see you. Okay, so for example, if I'm paying $100 to go see Eminem at Rapture, right? To see Eminem live, I would pay like literally at the time I would have paid up to $5,000 to go see him like probably VIP or some shit. But I'd pay like a grand, which is like $500, $600 for the cool seats at the time. With Kendrick was going, all that shit, I was like, holy shit, I want to get those tickets. And the value was so high for me because I'm a massive fan. But for someone who has no idea who Eminem is, like my mom at the time, was like, I don't know him. Who's Eminem? The value is much lower, but the value for her the value to go see Michael Jackson for someone like most people in the world is so high that you can charge more and more for tickets because people are willing to pay that. So but here's the thing though, figuring out what a person has, what do you have, what do I have of value to give to somebody that's going to get me money? That's where most people get it fucked up. Okay, that's where most people get the whole situation really, really messed up. Okay. The thing with me and life is understanding. That's why most people hate talking about money. I hate talking about money because most people that are old already have it figured out. But most people have it figured out the wrong way. Allow me to explain it, right? Most people get good at one really good thing. They look at university as like you're good at one good thing, right? You go be a doctor, you practice that, and that's it for the rest of your life. And that's why people really get depressed at university. Guys, university isn't about going and fucking committing the rest of your existence to being a freaking librarian, a librarian, or a teacher or some shit. Going to university is basically going number one to go live life a little bit, meet some cool people, and get some life experience. Okay, but it's also just to learn some shit, man. Just learn some shit. You don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to pass every single exam. And complete every single thing. I hate the saying you have to finish what you started, because by definition, man, if you're a human being, as a human being, we all finish what we started. You're born, you live, you die. It's very simple. What do you mean I don't finish what I started? Give me a break, bro. But I prefer looking at it as like I put something on pause. Now, there's a lot of things that you can pursue in your life, but there's only so many hours in the day. For me personally, the way I approach things is that I try to spend most of my time doing things that have a high value for other people. And the reason I do that is because, number one, I enjoy giving value for other people, but also often people give me money for that shit, man. Think about it. Entertainment. Is entertainment valuable for people? Of course it is, man. It's fucking entertaining and funny watching Dave Chappelle or Eddie Murphy go up there and do some funny shit. It's very entertaining to watch a movie. So obviously it's very useful to be an entertaining and, cool person. But it's also more important, the reason a lot of artists get taken advantage of, okay, the reason a lot of people in the industry, fall off, as they say, or get dropped from their label, or get really shitty deals, I'm thinking, I don't want to say any names and stuff like that, but is because they don't understand the business side. And the reason a lot of people in the business side are such dicks is because they don't understand the creative side. They're really good at the business, they don't understand the creative side. I'm the type of person that understands both sides. Like I love making money, man. I love money. But I also understand that there's nothing more pleasurable in life than doing what you love for a living, except making a whole fuckload of money doing what you love for a living, man. Right? Money does buy you happiness, but the way it buys you happiness is it gives you way more options of how to achieve happiness. But your aim in life really shouldn't be to be happy and excited and euphoric and live like fucking Vegas, baby. It's about literally being at peace as much as possible. Being at peace. Being in a peaceful environment, just being just peace and quiet and just chilling, man. That's why a lot of dudes just like to lock themselves away in their room and just not fucking worry about anything, just to chill with the PlayStation, just zone out and go to sleep and that type of thing. You know, they don't really want to. A lot of people just want to be at peace and they go into the happy place. And I'm really performing is not somewhere where I'm at peace. It's somewhere where I'm very, very, very. I really much. I don't like to say. That's feed of the energy, sure. But I love the energy that I get from doing a recording like this, or when I'm literally in front of people. I've been in situations when I'm in front of like 20, 30, 40 people, 50 people, even up to 500 people live. And a lot of times, really young people, where their parents have entrusted me to get up there and sit and tell them some shit about like some useful information about shit. I've even had, kids come up to me with the parents right there asking me very, very difficult questions. And I'm really proud of the way I like handle myself in this situation. I do make some mistakes here and there. I'm a human being. But the point that I'm getting at is that with money, it's very simple. I don't like to. The reason people like to talk about it is because if you haven't figured it out, well, if you haven't figured it out. But here's the thing: a lot of people think they haven't figured out. Like, for example, I knew that I was really great at sales. Okay, I was so good at sales that it was boring for me, and I didn't really enjoy the process. A lot of people don't enjoy the thrill of the hunt. I enjoy it too. It's alright, but to me, it's kind of boring. The idea that you have to handle every objection, the idea that it's very simple, man. The classic sell me a pen. I understood straight away that, like, what you are selling, sir, isn't going to be of value to everybody. Even if you are selling oxygen, right? Oxygen, you're selling air, right? You're not going to sell it to a person that is literally not alive, right? How are you going to sell oxygen? Or, like, how are you going to sell oxygen to like a fish? How are you going to sell oxygen to somebody that, like, maybe like you can't, like, obviously oxygen is abundant, but how about like food, right? We all need food, okay? Well, what kind of food? And that's the thing. The biggest problem in life for me that I realized was people have too many options that are completely unnecessary, first of all, and they fantasize about getting everything all at once. And to the point where they end up getting everything all at once, and they're like, "Oh, great! I want it again." You already literally have everything. Okay, when do you want it? Well, you want it? Here it is again. Again, you want it, and I lived that life for a very long time. You know what I mean? And it's awesome, except it's a very shallow and terrible existence because you just like it's very unfulfilling. It's with the song like Satisfaction. I analyze that song quite a lot. The reason people can't get no satisfaction is because you're constantly getting some advertising just telling you need this new car. You're just like, Chris Rock did it so perfectly. Are you sad? Are you tired? Are you lonely? Do you have a big belly? Are you unhappy? You need this pill. And then you have like movies that are selling you, like they're selling you a whole lot of fear and stuff like that. You gotta be afraid of this. You're not good enough. You're not good looking enough. Reality TV, and then you have advertising that comes in and says like, hey man, you need this new toothbrush. It's got the bristles. You need this. But wait, there's more. So like, I'm not, and I don't want to be this type of person or artist or business person or human being that's out there, exposing everybody, exposing everything. Because what happens is, I say it happened to me too. When people start realizing stuff like this, they get very angry. They get very bitter. They get really pissed off that the world is like that, and they get really angry at the world. They get very withdrawn. They start pointing the finger. They start saying like this and that. the world is messed up because of this guy and that guy, and I don't have what I want because the man's holding me back. No one's holding anybody back, man. It's like Rocky said, man. If you know what you're worth, go out there and get what you're worth. But you gotta understand, if you want to go get your money out the bank, there's a bit of a process involved in that. Well, you got to get up, right? Right? You got to get out of bed. Probably put on some clothes, and you just get in a vehicle or something. You got to go to the bank. You said, "Hello, Mr. Bank." He was like, "I'd like to draw my money though." Well, this is one moment. No, I want it right now. I was like, okay. Well, do you have an appointment? It's okay, cool. And there's other human beings involved and stuff. So it's the same concept. And if you think about going back to what I was saying earlier, when I was saying I controlled money, as the way I think about money is it's already there. There's no shortage of money in the world. It's like oxygen, right? It's like saying to somebody, you don't get to have oxygen today. What? People associate the level of their money with their existence. So like, if I don't have money, I don't get to eat. No, you don't get to eat if you're a moron. It's okay. If you're making exponentially like ongoing terrible decisions in your life, you don't get to eat because you're an idiot. Okay, literally, you're so beyond help that you literally need to be segregated from society and literally helped and then understand. Okay, so basically what happens is this is your area and you get 3 meals and that's called prison. Okay, cool. So that's what happens. It's like a mental health issue. And basically what happens is you don't seem to understand. But money is a very simple process to solve. And the thing is that it's so easy to create what I just said and make it sound like a kind of weird, fucked up way or system or kind of someone says, hey, I'm a rich asshole. I made $100 million doing some random bullshit. Now listen to me. Every single thing I'm about to tell you is exactly what you need to do. Now, this is what a lot of people get fucked up. This is why I love politics, but I'd really like to see a politician just come out when they ask him a question at a debate, him or her, and they say, hey man, what are you going to do about this random bullshit? And I'm going to do this, and that. I'm just, listen, man. Honestly, I don't think I don't have an answer for that. It's not because I don't know about what happened. It's not because I don't know about the facts. It's just because I don't believe a solution exists in the modern world to actually solve that particular problem right now. And honestly, it's not really something that I myself can solve as one human being. That's why we have a system of government where people kind of work together. That's why I have a vice president or prime minister. That's why I have a whole team of people that go out and do shit. That's why we have citizens and government officials and people that are out there investigating shit that are giving me information. That piece of information just gave me very useful. Like what I'll say that is I need more information before I can make a decision on that. Or not bother. But sir, you've had time to prepare. Yes, well I prepared for that, and that's sponsored. But the thing is that. The thing that I don't like about the whole politics thing is that a lot of people that are politicians and the musicians and artists are the biggest politicians too. Politics as usual, man. Politics exists everywhere. You know what I mean? It's all systems, right? And I love politics. I just don't like. Here's what I don't like about politics. I don't like how openly critical people are of politicians. I don't want it to be like the Soviet Union or like a communist kind of messed up society where you can't say anything. But it's just that people, especially younger people, but some older people too, abuse their freedom of speech way too much. Especially people that are, noted and have a, big booming voice and are, actually like notable people. Sometimes misuse their influence and often being irresponsible with what they're saying publicly. Okay, and I feel like the media and the politicians are guilty of it too are too critical of each other. At the end of the day, man, we're all part of Aotearoa here, man. You know what I mean? I have as much respect for Jacinda Ardern and Helen Clark, even though I vote National and and I'm joining. Excuse me. I was about to say I'm part of the National Party. I basically am. I just got to pay my $5 fee, which I haven't gotten around to doing. But yeah, I'm going to join the National Party, and the reason why is because I believe in the idea of business and giving people jobs until they understand that you don't actually have to punch a clock. What I mean by that, you don't have to just trade your time for money. You should be trading your time for the value you give in your results. And the way you gain value is by understanding that it takes time to perfect more than one craft. The term one-trick pony comes to make fun of somebody that, oh, you're a really good rapper, Eminem. How are you as a father? Well, it was like, well, actually, I'm pretty good at that. I just don't talk about it. You know, and that's the whole trick. So what I've been doing, I'm just only sharing publicly now, is number one, just listen, man. If you want to lose weight, if you want to do something, if you want to go learn something, or you want to go to university, or you want to go like whatever, get a makeover, just do it, man. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't make a big proclamation on Facebook. You know, if you want to be like a certain person, just think of how that person would be and just stop portraying that person. No, don't portray that person. Just stop being that person. And then the people that already know you in a certain way will be drawing from them that way. You're acting different. Because what that means to people is it's not that they can't control you; it's that they think you're unpredictable. But it's not. I'm not unpredictable if you understand what I'm doing. The way that I approach things is that I don't. I'm very predictable once you realize that I'm unpredictable in the sense that if I want to change the way, switch my shit up, it's not like I'm trying to be someone. That's just how I am. I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing because if I'm uncomfortable with what I'm doing, I immediately change what I'm doing. It's that simple. So, like, listen, man, I really want to just. I don't want to expose anybody because the thing is business. Google, or Alphabet, the company that owns Google, is an unbelievable company. Unbelievable company. But let's face it, guys. Google search, it's kind of like the Yellow Pages, man. We love the Yellow Pages. But, like, you know, like, they don't even hand those things out anymore, really, at businesses, the Yellow Pages. Those things used to be around even 10, 15 years ago. They used to be around. The newspaper's still around. The newspaper still has its uses, but it's still. Most people just kind of read things online these days, you know what I mean? But it still circulates. People still buy the paper because, it's cool to just go to a cafe and read the paper. I used to read the paper, physical paper, I mean. But Google search, listen, guys, I don't want to expose people that are doing because it's not my place. Because you got to understand, as much as you think you know, and as much as you know, there's always some shit that you don't know, bro. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as you think you know, or as much as you know that you know, or as old as you get, or as wise as you get, well, that's a correction. When you get older and wiser, I'm in 34 myself, but I figured this out. This is a theory that I'm working on, which is kind of moving into the wisdom category. I started realizing that, like, it's not as simple as you're a good guy, you're a bad guy. Here's why. But it is simple if you're looking at influencing large groups of people. Like social systems and cultural systems need ways to identify what the fuck we're all up to. That's how you unify a country. That's how I say we're in New Zealand. We're focused. This is what we can all agree on. That's kind of the whole point of having a country or a territory or an area, or even a hood within an area. Certain is like North Shore. This is south. This is South Side. This is North Shore. This is West Side. But collectively, like it's the East Side. This is North Island. That's South Island. But collectively, we're out there. And we're in New Zealand, right? This is kind of like the type of people that live here. This is the type of shit we get up to. This is you're in New Zealand. And you're like, if you do this and that, we get that. South Africa, RSA is different. Russia is different. America is different. And the reason why is because you have a system of government. This people, government, they want to. No, all they're doing is not controlling everybody. They're just getting everybody on the same page, man. Because someone has to do it. I guarantee you, anybody that is running a country isn't there because they want to be the guy in charge, man. Seriously. Do you really think Donald Trump wants to be up there at the age of fucking 79 saying that, okay, man, Iran, just fucking chill out, man. What is this bullshit, man? You're fired. What are they coming on, man? Seriously. Yeah, he's doing shit going on, man. He's like, fuck, man. Oprah asked him once when he was like probably in his 40s or 50s, like he was already, doing really well. He'd come back from being $900 million in debt to, like, one of the greatest developers of all time. Real estate developers, and was a pretty popular guy at the time, very wealthy. And she asked him, like, would you ever run for office? And he was like, probably not. That was his first thing. He said, probably not, but looking at the way things are going now, man, I might have to. Like, seriously. And that's the way I feel a lot of times with music and film and stuff like that. I never really wanted to get on stage and, be the center of attention. But, or even just like do a performance to be a hype man. I really enjoy being in the crowd and just watching people, especially I've had stories people tell me about when they've ghostwritten some bars for somebody, or when they've written a song, or even when they've done like some of the choreography and they still watch the people. Like when you watch your kid on stage and you kind of help them, with the little dance, whatever that they do in the play, or you just feel very proud, stuff. But I really enjoyed watching like M Live and Green Day Live and Chemical Brothers and The Big Day Out, going out there and watching like Calvin Harris and P Money and Scribe, David Dallas and like Switter. I really enjoy watching live. Guys like Mellow Downs, really really cool to like hang out with some of these dudes. Like not even backstage, because that's the cool thing. A lot of these things in New Zealand, like especially in the hip hop community, you get to hang out with them. You know what I mean? I got to meet guys like David Dallas. I got to meet guys like, I've never met like Lord, but I went to Mains, and the manager, I'm told, went to Mains and studied the same course I did. So it's not really a big deal, because really, if you're like the biggest artist on the planet, let's say you're Drake, for example, right? Now you Google Drake. This is why I don't really fuck with Google, because if you Google me, you say who is Michael Alexandrovich Grassmore in New Zealand, right? It's what all it does, right? So here's the thing. This is the problem that I have with Google search, and this is a constructive criticism that I want to send out to Alphabet right now. I'm going to put this on YouTube and just see what happens. Probably going to get a lot of views. Here's the problem with Google search. Back when the internet first became a thing, okay, which is a whole other fucking kettle of fish, because the internet already exists. It's just someone put up, people haven't figured out, like, it's like oxygen. Someone's putting a price on oxygen, internet, the same, that whole separate thing, okay? But back when the internet became a thing, and, websites became a thing, right? The thing is, building a website is not difficult, man. Literally. And pretty much in 2026, everybody knows this. 20, 30, 15, 20, 10, even 10 years ago, most people did not fucking know how easy it is, simple it is to build a website. Now, 30 years ago, it was actually literally very difficult to figure out how to not only build a functional website that actually has, a URL and, a domain, and understand, like, how it functions, you know what I mean, and how to actually, where to find out how to actually reserve a URL and what's the concept behind it, and but building a website is also like a cool website. Here's the thing: building a simple website these days, but back in the day, here's the thing: back in the day, it was a fucking big deal, man. You had to pay like $50K. You had to be $50K if you had a fucking website. It's like having a fucking like a massive mansion house. It's like having like a $20 million property. It's like you're serious shit. Like that's like you're driving around on like a Ferrari or some shit. You know what I mean? On like a Tesla, like the latest Tesla, or cruising around and they're like like Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? These days, it's not that websites sound cool, but the thing is, Google, as like Google the search, isn't a website. It is a website traditionally because it has a URL, google.com or google.co.nz, whatever it is, right? But it is a platform, sir. What's a platform? A lot of people don't know this, right? I learned this when I was working at Facebook. Facebook's another platform. LinkedIn, platform. You think, well, social media? No. A platform online is any place where people actually want to go and hang out and do stuff in that place. Think like Reddit, right? Think of a platform like Twitch. Think of a platform like TikTok, YouTube, WhatsApp, applications, right? Little apps that do things. Fitness apps. Uber is a platform, that connects things and does to certain things. Like gaming platforms. Because that's another thing. Facebook did a thing where now you can go to a platform and build other things on the platform. You can do like you can go to Twitch, create your own Twitch profile, and you can go to LinkedIn, create your own thing. And that's the thing, right? What's happening on Google search, because of the way it's set up at the moment, is you can be like a random asshole like me. You can be a random business, right? You can build a website. You can pay like $500 these days. Sure, man. Pay $500, but you kick out of it. Sure, man. I'll build a budget. I spend a half an hour fucking putting together this fucking AI and just integrate it. Like, oh, listen, man, I want $5,000, but listen, man, give me a couple grand. Like, God, she give me 2 weeks. Sweet ass, like an hour later, the most gangsters. Anyway, here's the thing. I can build your website, but these days, the website's really more like a business card, man. Business cards used to be a big deal back in the day too, man. It really did. Just like the Yellow Pages. It used to be a big deal to be in the Yellow Pages, especially to be in a major part of the Yellow Pages, or like, you know, the newspaper used to be a big deal. These days, the website is not so much. It's not a big deal to get a website because it's very simple to get a website. And the problem with Google right now is what it does is it goes to, if you ask about, tell me about Jim's tool shed, or like, you know, tell me about Subway, you know, what was it, or tell me about this random marketing guy's calling me from this company. What it does is it goes and collects, when you do a search, first thing it does, well, this is the main problem that's happening right now. This is why that they end up saying, listen, you have to tell us what are ads and what are actually, you know, the correct results, because as a business, and they'd be like, oh yeah, the ads. I also skip to the organic section, but people that are doing SEO are also assholes. You know why? Because you're trying to trick your way around the algorithm. That's why the classic Google changed the algorithm. Google saying, guys, stop being assholes, man. Why are you putting in weird kind of like backlinks and doing all this weird shit to try and confuse us about like what's best for the fucking search, man? This is why it's very difficult being Alphabet. Not Google. Google's not a company. It's Alphabet that do a whole lot of other shit, right? So actually, Google search, get on the front page of Google, push on the front. That actually was a really good concept, just like telephone when it first came out. Calling somebody up and selling something over the phone was, and still is, a very useful technique, depending on how you do it. Okay? The thing with Google search these days is that because now you can see that the ads and everyone's in on the joke, same with Facebook. Facebook's a really cool platform. It still is a really cool platform for different purposes. I'm not going to go into that. But back when it first came out, it was very cool of the intelligent way in which they subtly endorse things to you. And that's where like companies come like Beat Pills go to someone like, you know, I don't know, Jay-Z or like Lil Dicky or something like that. Say, hey man, would you mind just wearing like a would you mind just like having this vape and like just doing that randomly, or like, do you mind just wearing this watch? And Mike, do you mind just wearing my you know these shorts and like just randomly like in your song? Can you just say like just a rock randomly? So that's a very intelligent way. But what the thing is, a lot of people don't know, because I used to work with Facebook and with Google, but directly for Facebook and as a Google partner, right? Is that Mark Zuckerberg is an excellent person at building user experiences. What I'm talking about, a lot of people in this call UX, user experiences, right? User experience, like when you go on a website, what do you see on a website? You see, okay, man, basically, we're an electrician company. We do cool shit. Here's our testimonials. You want to see a big story about big dicks? You know, is the blue pill, the green pill. So basically, we do all amazing shit. Here's some cool pictures. Here's a really fancy, here's a little chat feature. Here's some AI bullshit over here. There's some cool shit that we do, right? So basically, it's a big kind of thing. Like, look, we were sexy. Let's have sex. That's how that thing. Fuck me. It's a beautiful thing. It's very fake. I don't like that. Because that's why where do people go? Listen to me. I want you guys, anybody watching this, really. These days in 2026, whether you're either 40 years old, 50 or 60 years old, or 16, 17, right? Do you make your purchasing decision based on going to Tesla's website and checking out the car and saying, yep, and saying, this is amazing. Or going to like, if you need a plumber, do you make your decision on what plumber you go to based on, I go to the website, let's say I click an ad or whatever. I saw the website. Yep, you're amazing. Here's some testimonial number. Call them. Yes, hello. Then now you have a plan. I assure you that most normal people don't do that if they know what they're looking at on a website, because a website is an advertisement. These days, it is simply an advertisement. It used to be kind of like, you know, something different, but these days it's an advertisement. And what most normal people do these days is they check out the website, because website, cool testimonials, but then they make some they go to their Facebook, they go to their TikTok, they talk to some of their people, they say, what do you think, Mike? Yeah, they're alright, yeah, they're cool, I prefer these guys. What do you think about Uber, Mike? And they ask you, and that's what we call word of mouth. The reason people hate advertising is because advertising was telling you like, hey, we're hot shit. This is why we're hot shit. The most intelligent advertising isn't advertising. It becomes a part of pop culture. You know, kind of like the Red Bull gives you wings. You know, or like the Pack and Save. You know, it's pop culture these days. The Stickman figure. You know, it's like those types of ads where it's like a series of ads. It just feels like part of your day. You know what I mean? It's kind of, and that's what Facebook did. When you're on Facebook and you see like, hey man, hey, oh, check out Mike's going to that fucking gig next week. There's events. Check all these events. Those events that you're going to have tickets, obviously, and they say, hey man, hey, that girl that's going, and like in the movies, like, hey, do you know that girl's single? Like, yeah, I'll just put that on Facebook, and you see I'm single or not single, and you can see, well, we're in a relationship, and so that's why Mark Zuckerberg is a genius. Now, what Mark Zuckerberg isn't a genius of is understanding how to turn that into money, because um, Catherine Sandberg, the marketing genius behind what turned him from a pretty wealthy dude into like the wealthiest dude on the planet at the time, pretty much, right? Billions of dollars just for him, right? Was primarily understand like, hey man, so first of all, you're getting a whole lot of data here, right? He's like, you're sure. So now you understand we can go to a business and say we have data on these, but then it's like probably another person was like, wait a minute, isn't there privacy concerns about that? Where it's like now we have information on literally everybody, and this time like now he's like, yeah, more like, oh, we're gonna do messenger like DMs and shit, right? What's the problem with that? Well, now a random private entity has access to like, you know, all your private shit. So obviously there has to be some policies in place for that within the organization, which is why eventually Mark Zuckerberg is up in front of a whole bunch of magistrates and judges, where they're basically looking at him, essentially saying, "Kid, you're an asshole, man. And it's not because you're rich. Why do you have more information than the freaking FBI and the CIA and like the freaking Russian government? Why do you know everything about everyone? Like you know a few things about that I told my wife 2 years ago. Well, what is this bullshit?" That's not what they were saying directly, but they were like asking questions like, would it be possible theoretically for someone within Facebook to know, you know, what I did last week on Tuesday? Okay. So a lot of people realize information like this, and this is where conspiracy theories come from. And the reason they call them conspiracy theories is generally made by people that are very angry, that most people either don't care about stuff like this, don't know or believe in stuff like this, or aren't logical enough, and they get really pissed off. And why do you get pissed off? Why would you get pissed off about that? If you know about something like that, think about it. Is it? Let's say you're a really good-looking, attractive person. I'm not a bad-looking person myself, but let's say you're like a supermodel, right? And you go to the gym, you look after yourself. You know what I mean? You're a good-looking person, whatever. Is it your fault that other people are ugly, physically? Okay. You have access to the same information, right? You have access to listen, man. If you exercise, if you eat healthy, if you whatever, if you look after yourself, you know what I mean? Like, is it their fault, male or female, right? That they get more like attention, like for like romantically. You know what I mean? Is it their fault that they have more active, you know, physical experiences, right? No. So is it a business's fault? Is it like Mark Zuckerberg's or, you know, Bill Gates' fault that he figured out that there's an internet and that people are so stupid? And it's not that they're stupid; they're just so like blissfully unaware that the internet exists already. You know, it's called the radio. Okay, so it's called like, you know, it already exists. So all you do, get this, like, you just put your own label on something that already exists. This is called a service-based business. And people have problems associated with being able to figure out how to, let's say you need a haircut, right? So this is the thing. This is where people get really angry and they don't do themselves a favor, because all you need to do, man, is just like do what I did. Back to what I was saying earlier. The money problem is very simple, man. You find ways to give value to people's lives, they give you money. Where does the money come from? It comes from the labor force. The labor force sells their time to get money. Why do they sell their time? To people like me. Why do people sell their time? Because they think they have nothing of value to offer to the world. They get good at one really good thing, they get good at one thing, and they stick to that, and they become obsessed with being really good at picking up this phone, calling some random asshole, or doing customer service, saying, yep, go to the website, hang up, or they get really good. And if you fuck with that shit, it's not because it's like, well, it's really difficult if you're in a position of power to not take power and be looking at other people like, Steve Jobs and people like Mark Zuckerberg, Carlos Slim, and all these guys are looking at each other because you guys realize we don't actually have billions of dollars, right? But you do have millions of dollars. I work for you, man. I'm middle management. I'm working 80-hour weeks, and they're like, dude. And they were looking at each other. It's like, you understand, like you can do more stuff. Listen, this is what I'll do for you, okay? I'm gonna give you a raise. Yeah, finally, okay? Okay, I'm gonna give you a raise. What do I have to do for the money? Do I have to do anything else? No, man. I'm gonna give you a raise, and I'm just gonna load in Monday to Thursday. So now you're gonna like 30 hours, and now you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I got a family, man. I got kids. That's what people. I mean, like, whose fucking fault is that? Do I have a family and kids? No. You know why? Because I'm a fucking smart kid, man. Do I want those things? Yes. Do I need those things at this point in my life? No. Right? So, does it suck? That you kind of, but that's the sacrifice. So this is the point that I'm making, is that people look at people like me and they think, well, who does he think he is? I had a person say this to me the other day. Who do you think you are? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm Michael. This is the problem that happens when people have this perception of people. That's why I prefer, and people. This is the thing, when people want to get famous and rich, and once you get really famous, you understand you don't get there is no being rich, because you get a whole lot of money, but what are you going to spend it on? Well, the thing is, when the idea is, I asked myself once, if I had $20 million, right? I was living in New Zealand at the time, I was 19. What would I be doing in my life? What would I be doing? And I realized I'd be doing pretty much the same shit I was doing the fucking time anyway. Going to the beach, spending time with my family, playing poker, hanging out, drinking beer, smoking weed, flirting with bitches, doing that kind of partying, that kind of, like, you know what I mean? That's pretty much what I would be doing anyway. Now, and I thought, well, how would I be? I mean, and I was still, okay, well, wait a minute. But then I need money, and then I realized, but how do I get money? And then I was like, well, I'm doing sales. And what's sales? And that's the thing. That's when I realized it's not that knowledge is power, but you can influence a lot more people if you know more things about the way systems work, brother. It all comes back to systems, man. Any person that tells me that, like, mathematics is important, I 100% agree with you, because mathematical equations is the basis of any system. Mathematics is equations are the basis of every single system that exists. Understanding timing, understanding things like, measurements, understanding things like, architecture, understanding things like, measure, like, just, basic things. Mathematics is very important. But my favorite thing is basically media. And media being any situation where one or more people are influencing a community or large group of people. Basically a community of people. So we call them influencers or content creators these days, or politicians. Now, the difference between a content creator and a politician and a privately owned company and a government organization is, believe it or not, their main interest is to keep everybody from fucking killing each other and have a civilized society, okay? And the way you do that is give some people systems where they don't lose their mind about, oh, what am I offering to the world? Oh my god, I have nothing to offer. What am I going to do? I'm going to end. Oh shit, I'm going to die. It's like, okay, listen, man, you have socialism. Oh my god, I don't have enough money. I need to go do this. My hair's all fucked up. Okay, Jesus Christ, I don't know what to do. What do I do now? This is the thing. This is the thing, man. This is why we have a civilized society. Anarchy is basically an explanation of what would happen if there was no government. it would be absolute fucking riots, bro. It would literally be survival of the fittest. And Mobb Deep, as dope as they are, it's not survival of the fittest in the hood, in the Queens. I mean, I've never been there personally, but any civilized society, even in Marcy, has systems that keep things civil. And even, I'm not talking about laws. I'm talking about like shit in North Shore is a little bit different shit than like South Side, right? You know what I mean, it's the same general idea, but like shit in like Albany is way different, like Windsor, East Randburg, South Africa, like Auckland, like South Africa, right? And shit in like Moscow, 1978 is way different freaking Moscow 2026 if you're 21 in 2026. And being 34 in 2026 is very difficult or different to being 22 in 2026 versus being 22 in, when that person was 1. So this would be an example of a 1 hour set where I'd be talking about, a topic like value, money, entertainment, media, stuff like that. This is like a talk that I would do. And what I want to do with these recordings is I want to post them up on YouTube. I'm going to try to do them once a week. I'm trying to keep it to a half an hour or an hour max. And the reason I'm posting them up is just to basically give someone examples. I do like little clips from them. I'm just going to put them on TikTok and just on YouTube. Just so that I can have an audience of people. Specifically, I'll make like little specific sections for this is for people that want to see me perform, because I have a different performance. This is for people that want me to talk about certain things, maybe like universities or schools or community groups, or just want me to explain things in a certain way. This is for my political stuff. This is for my just personal random shit. And then all my personal shit is literally just like saved away in my mind. I just don't share with anybody. But the funny thing is, like, yeah, Iceman was an Iceman, but the X-Men are still around. It's my G, Real G Network. Hey guys, stay safe out there, man. We all love you. And hey guys, check what, man. Donald Trump, you're hired.